This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from various parts of the world for joining. Okay. The primary focus of for us to start this performance testing, the art of winning large performance testing deals, was primarily to cater to the industry need, where most of us, we are into testing, we are into performance, we have been doing a lot of technical work, but the way we progress in our career and we move forward is by winning more business, and we have to translate all the technical learnings and technical skills that we have into a business language. And also, the way the companies survive today is has become very dynamic, right? It's been the new way of operations with remote working, with different billing models, pay as you go models. Okay, many things have evolved, and performance testing delivery has also changed the way we deliver the service, right? We moved from one commercial tool to open source tool. We went for templates, we went for automation driven testing. We have moved on to CI/CD, where automated testing and analysis, trending, everything has happened. But how do I translate that whole activities of performance testing and the performance deliveries into a meaningful business model, right? So primarily, what we are going to do in this learning sessions, is that we have to move up the leadership ladder. So when we are focusing on moving to the new leadership ladder, we have to start understanding the business and the leadership language, right? So how do I or how do we start translating our activities into the customer expectation, and how do we see the investments, and how do we see the returns, right? And how do we build the roadmap for us to win more deals, right? And also to retain the existing customer. So primarily, the main objective was to equip for the market demands and challenges. So when we see the demands in the skill set, right, and as we move for senior roles, we have to start showcasing our business skills in the market, right? And the challenges could be customer escalation, customer asking for a proposal, and customer we proactively pitching for a proposal, or we are trying to create an opportunity so that we can convert it into a proactive proposal, right? So these are multiple challenges that we will be discussing, and how are the market demands is something that we will cater to in this particular training session. Next, we will be covering some focus on the financial investments and returns expected in the business of performance testing. So primarily, where does the money lie on the table with the customer so that he will invest in our solutions, right? So be it the license cost, or be it the value that we deliver, or be it the test types and the test outcomes that we will deliver. So how do we position ourselves as the winning partner for the customer to grow along with us? And it could be the other way around. Suppose some of you would have joined from a product-based company, right? You would be more interested on how do I spend my budget? How do I make use of negotiating with the deals with my my vendors, right? So where do I foresee my organization to reach some of the primary objectives and the goals and the outcomes that the business is expecting from us? So in both, we are trying to cover both the aspects, from a product company looking for a solution vendor, and from a viewpoint of a vendor who is looking at winning a new RFP for his business trip. Am I audible? Guys, you're able to listen to me? Is my face okay? My English okay?
Yes, Prem, we are able to audible and we are able to follow.
Fantastic. So anything, please feel free to stop me. Okay, and I will try to repeat it. I'll try to correct myself if there is a mistake. Yeah, thank you. So next, foremost thing that we will have to we are focusing in this course is, it's not only learning. You will have to take back some templates and frameworks for preparing your response to the RFPs, right? So RFPs primarily mean the request for proposals. So in our every session that we cover, we will try to bring in and show some templates which you can follow and you can use it during your presentation. So primarily we will be touching upon, what is the context of the template or the framework, and how do you articulate that particular messaging to the customer. For example, if it's a case study that you're presenting, right? How do you present your case study so that it convinces the customer? Some of the time when you're doing the RFP solution presentation, we are constrained by time, right? And we will have a more powerful messaging in the case study, because whatever we present in the initial stage, and if you don't finish it off with the proper climax where we show them evidence of how we have done it to a different customer, then you might lose customers confidence, right? So how do I build the customer confidence in preparing my case studies? So what are my key callouts that I should have? What are my punchlines? How do I present my case study in a way that it meets the customer's business model and business demands? Okay, and the primary outcome once you complete this session is should be your confidence in winning the new clients and helping existing clients to give you more business, right? So this is the course outline. So why we designed this course for the industry, right? So any questions at this point in time?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So once we complete the course, you would also be confident on how do we do the defense for the proposal, right? Writing a proposal is an art. Defending that proposal to the customer is again is a bigger art, right? So whereby you have to do the correct articulation, you have to orient the customer towards the solution and give him the confidence that your solution is going to work for them, right? And our expectation is many of you would have worked on RFPs and made business presentations or facing client management team. And if you guys would have gone out for lunch or dinner with your clients, what do you convey in those short duration? That's kind of an informal meeting, right? And meeting top management team members. So I hope most of you guys who have joined today are into any of these 5 activities. If not, nothing to worry. We will tune you guys so that you can go and meet your customers and face them much boldly, right? So we will be touching upon what is the RFP template, what is expected in RFP template, and what is the business presentation, how is it different from a technical presentation, and how do we formally connect, and what is the top management really interested in our proposal. So going on to the topics that we are going to cover a little bit in depth. So primarily the RFP models come to QA organization, right? So RFPs come in both ways. It comes as a proactive RFP or a reactive RFP. What do I mean by a proactive RFP is, suppose you have found a problem with the customer and you have a solution, and you want to present that solution and and give some cost value or quality value to the customer, right? For example, suppose a customer is struggling with some license cost with LoadRunner, for example. Just giving a hypothetical situation, right? But you have a solution that has worked for new load or using Jmeter, and you want to proactively show that case study to the customer and ask him to migrate to the new load or Jmeter. That could be a proactive proposal. Or if suppose if it's an airline customer and you have delivered some performance testing and he has been really appreciative of the work that we have done, and you want to get more work done, and he is upgrading his any other flight management or customer management system, and within your organization you have done something similar, you will proactively go and tell him that we have done something and we have won some award, and if you will be interested, we will deliver that services for you. That's more of a proactive approach. Reactive mode of RFP outcome is going to be more of the customer giving a request for proposal for some of the solutions that you want to develop for some projects, right? So we would be looking at the proactive and reactive mode of RFP models, and how do we support performance testing for an application development and support migration or a specific service request models. And once we understand the RFP models, we get into the session where we discuss about the RFP response preparation phase. Okay, so response preparation phase, primarily, we focus on how do we analyze the RFP, what are the tips to ask the right questions for clarification, and gauging the aspirational goal and the objective goals, the definitive goals of the RFP. This is very crucial, okay, where any blunt statement or an outcome that cannot be determined immediately can be aspirated and produced to the customer in a way that we will be able to achieve that aspirational goal, and taking clues from the response to clarifications. So these are some of the things that we will discuss on the preparation phase. Moving on to the designing the response of RFP, primarily we will discuss on what are my objectives, how do I address my aspirations, articulating the solution, engagement roadmap, estimations, operating model, pricing model, enablers and capabilities, case studies. So these are very important for us to articulate and tell to the customer how we will win the solution, or how will we be the right partners for you to deliver this solution. Okay, and after the designing the response, we should also prepare for the defense, where we need to identify the stakeholders, storyline definition, solution articulation, content delivery, handling objections, case study articulation, and confidence building. So these are some of the topics that we will be covering. Primarily, this is the need of the hour in the industry. Primarily, this is the skill set very sorted off in terms of the pre-sales and the sales skills. So primarily, how do we understand? So if you can see the figure there, it's more of the game plan, right? So you can see the CSK team, standing together and making a game plan. So who's the bowler? How do I bowl? Right? How do I set the field? Right? So similarly, this topics is what we are planning to cover in our classes that we are planned for the next 2 weeks. Any questions? Any questions with these topics? Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, one question. In terms of the pricing models, is fixed and time and material, those kind of things? I mean, how exactly it is?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I just want to know high level, what are the pricing models available as part of the RFP?
Yeah, so that is also being touched upon. So there are multiple pricing models that are available in the market. So that's one of the topics that I'm touching in terms of the estimation models and contract types, fixed price, timing material, or is it hybrid models, or is it consumption based? So the customers are now moving to pay as you go as models as well. So that will also be touched upon in this session, where we are covering the estimation and measurement for success of proposal. So so that's where we will be touching upon the pricing models.
That's great. Thank you.
So yeah. Not? Shall I move to the next?
One more question. Yeah, one more question here.
Yeah.
How it's different between the development and the testing models? I mean, what are the main segregations? Just want to understand how it will be.
Yeah. So see, the model wise in the way the software development model is not going to change, right? We have to coexist and co-work. But when it comes to performance testing, it is going to be part of one of the delivery cycles of the entire software development life cycle, right? And we are going to expand and study more on the performance testing life cycle and how do we position our solution across the performance testing life cycle. So overall, in terms of application development and support, it will be going as one RFP, and we will be one of the portion in the RFP where we articulate our solution, right, and build the confidence. But when it comes to specific service requests, then we will address specific performance testing RFP alone. Did I answer your question, Hemant, or you want me to repeat?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Then let me then move on to the next slide. Okay. What is an RFP? Okay. Those who have already worked on RFP, maybe this could be a little unlearning for you, but just wanted to touch upon in interest of everyone's time, and I just wanted to touch upon what this request for proposal is. See, request for proposal is abbreviated as RFP. It's a document created by a buyer. So primarily they are buyers and issue to vendors requesting for information about a product or service. And RFP purpose is to allow a buyer to make an objective, informed, and confident procurement decision. So the outcome of an RFP is to buy either a product or a service from a customer, from a vendor. Right? We could be vendor or we could be the buyer. Suppose you are asking, suppose you are from a product company like Google, and you are floating an RFP across the IT services company, HCL, TCS, Wipro, etc. Then you are going to be the buyer, and the other companies, TCS, HCL, Wipro, etc., are going to be multiple vendors. So our RFP can be given to one vendor or to multiple vendors, or you can break it. It's completely on the buyer side. Okay. So primarily, what is the major content of an RFP is it uses it is more of a business document, and it will ask potential vendors for project proposals. Okay. So our topic is responding with a proposal. So we are going to read the RFP and we are going to produce a proposal document so that a buyer can take an informed decision. Okay. So this document explains, that is the response document, will have to explain what business wants from its project and what vendor should apply and how the business will select the right candidate. Right. So primarily, the content of the table of content of an RFP will be like this. Okay. So the one that you see on the left side, this is a very simple RFP. Okay. I will share these two RFP as a sample in this forum, maybe in the WhatsApp group. Okay, you can take a copy and read through this RFP. Okay, so just in interest of everyone's time, so there could be a very simple RFP and there could be a very elaborate RFP. This two columns that you're seeing is a very elaborate RFP, right? So a simple RFP could just say what is expected in the RFP, what are my contract terms, what is the purpose, description and objective, timeline, budget, audience, staff resources, qualification, and what is my evaluation criteria. But if it's a bigger RFP, there could be multiple sections that would be coming along with the RFP document. But as a performance testing guy, should I have to respond to every aspect of the RFP? Not required. So if you are a technical team, we only look at what is the technical requirement or the objective of the RFP and what is my response. If there are templates that they give us, then I follow that particular template, right? And and I present my solution and what are my service level agreements, and how do what are the intellectual properties that I'm onboarding, and what are my exit clauses. So these are some of the key things that we will work on. Other part of it, in terms of budgeting, we will only give the estimation and what is my cost. Timeline, we will put the effort and the estimation timeline. Primarily, it will be a Gantt chart where we show where we start and different phases, and the contract terms. But the rest of it will be owned by the sales team, okay, where the sales team is going to work on some of the annexure documents, like, declaration of compliances or undertaking by bidder. This will be at the organization level. So I'm just giving you a view of what are the table of contents, but I will share these two sample RFPs which you can go through, and we can review those RFPs in tomorrow's session in detail. Okay, so primarily the RFP will the primary focus of an RFP is a buyer will float it in the market. Buyer will have a problem statement, and he will look out for multiple vendors who can solve their problem statement. Okay, and their problem statement can be just performance testing, or an application development, or an application development support and testing, or you can slice it and dice it and give it to multiple vendors. Any questions with RFP? I mean, in terms of the table of contents.
Prem, during the course, we can discuss in detail during the course, right? Each of the content.
Yes.
Okay.
So so primarily, each topic I will be taking it as part of one of the sessions, right? So so this is the content, right? The engagement roadmap, estimation, team operating model. So each will be clubbed, and we will be taking it in everyday session, and then we will be presenting it to. We'll be discussing each topic in detail. Okay, but just want to touch if you guys have any specific doubts in this. If anybody has worked on RFP, or you want to share some experience, or you have some expectations in this course, you can tell right now. No questions, then I can move on. Okay, so next topic that someone had a question? Yeah, so next topic that I quickly want to touch upon was on the proactive and reactive mode of RFP definition. So primarily, a proactive is you find an opportunity, or we find an opportunity by mining a customer need, say primarily a market trend, or a cost-saving competitive capability, or cost-saving event, like we discussed, like license, etc. Right? And we first identify the customer key stakeholders, and it is very easy to connect with the customer key stakeholders, since we are already delivering some of the services to them. Okay, and we in parallel try to bring in the team capabilities and bring value on board to customer to make a buy-in. Right, so buy-in is so as I told you, in an RFP, buyer has to make a buying decision. There should be a contract signed and a contract value being agreed for the services. Right. So in a proactive approach, we try to go to the customer and showcase our capability and win the business. Okay. Say some of the opportunity how we can mine is, say we found a production issue, and we really think that it requires a performance testing on a regular basis for a continuous confidence with the production. Then we go and bid for that. Okay, or we create a demand for service. Right. So demand for service is more of we are operating with the customer, and we are delivering one particular performance testing, say for example web services testing or SAP services testing. We can actually build that as a service line and present it to other customers whom we are delivering SAP testing or development services, so that we will be we win the customer without allowing him to go for a RFP, right? So this is a kind of proactive performance testing, right? So in a reactive mode, what happens is, first customer understands the market need or business need and bring in a project RFP. So here the buyer, buyer will first understand his objective and then float an RFP. So example could be they want to undergo a large scale transformation, or they want to migrate to cloud, or they want to migrate to web services or microservices kind of organization, right? Or complete a transformation of in terms of their waterfall to complete agile practice or CI/CD delivery practice. So these are some of the objectives why customers will start producing a business need and produce a project RFP. Okay. Then that RFP comes to the bid teams. Primarily vendors will have, every vendor will have a bid team, and vendors will compete for the RFP by producing the response. Okay. So when they produce the response, what are the artifacts, what are the facts and figures that they should start showing is what we are going to see in this particular course. Okay. So once the customer delivers the project to single vendor or multiple vendor, so customer will decide whether he will give it to one vendor or multiple vendors. But the key is to win the bigger pie, right? So every company, Wipro, TCS, Accenture, everybody who participate in the bid, they will bid across the customer requirement and start winning the RFP, because that is their pipeline for the next quarter or for the next year. Their strength or revenue strength relies on winning the customers. So the difference between proactive and reactive is, proactive, we try to mine the customer needs, proactively reach the stakeholders and show our capabilities and win the solution, or we create a service line and demand for that service line. That is the proactive way of winning the RFPs, or even not allowing the customer to go for an RFP but take the service from the US. Okay, but when it comes to a reactive mode of RFP, it is going to be a customer who defines what he needs, and he will then float the RFP documents to vendors, and he will have a selection criteria of vendors, and based on the vendor selection and the competition of solutions that the response that produced by the vendors, he will select a vendor, and he can select one vendor or multiple vendor for his business requirements. Any questions so far?
Yes, Prem. As part of draft RFP, so what are the precautions we need to take to before the customer?
Okay, so first thing is, that's how we have designed this. So initially, you need to first analyze the RFP. Okay, so once the RFP is floated, immediately they will not ask for a solution. They will give a time frame for you to prepare a questionnaire and asking for clarification. Okay, so this is the first initial phases of the RFP. Okay, so first you need to understand how should I ask my clarification questions. You cannot expose your solution tenants, right? Suppose you could have some reusable templates or case studies that can fit the customer, but you don't want the other vendor to know about it. Then we will have to gauge. We will have to prepare a questionnaire in such a way that your solution tenants don't go out as a clue to the other vendors. Okay, and the customer will also give you clarifications, and you will have to take clues from the clarifications and then build your solution. Okay, so then to answer your question directly, every RFP will have an aspirational goal and a definitive or an objective goal. Okay, so how do I gauge those aspirational goals and address the aspirations and address the objective? So this is how we will have to face the customer and the stakeholders who are going to involve in winning in selecting the RFP. Did I answer your question?
Yes, Prem. Yes.
Yeah. So, so in this regards, let me take a simple example. Okay, of how am I going to articulate this. See, this defining an engagement roadmap. This is very key for us to win the RFP, right? So simply saying I will start in 2021 and I will do this, I will do that, and how I will progress. I will have to articulate it into the business terms, right? So primarily, what I should show my engagement roadmap is going to be at the portfolio level, at the service level, at the value delivery level, at quality level, and cost level. So this itself is one of the simple, one important sessions that are going to be in our course. Okay. So primarily, when I look at portfolio, how do I do the shift left, or do I do a master managed services model? Okay. How do I do my transition in the first year? Right. What is the value that I'm going to deliver? What is the cost and quality? How do I do my cost avoidance, etc. So when I build my solution deck like this, right? And if it's a multi-year contract, and I'm going to clearly tell them what I'm going to achieve in the first year, what am I going to achieve in the second year, how am I going to improve in the next 3-4 years, right? This gives the messaging to the customer in a way that he can understand how we are addressing his aspirational goal as well as an objective goal. Okay. So, and a simple example of an objective goal should be, he wants to, he is finding that, there are a lot of production defects that are coming, especially performance production defects. It's an objective goal, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift left. I'll say them that we will start early testing, so that you can avoid, performance defects in the production, right? What could be an aspirational value? They want to move to CI/CD by 2023. Okay, so this is an aspirational value, but we are building our frameworks to meet their demand of 2023, right? So we will address their objective goals as well as aspirational goals and give them some figures. So when I articulate my solution this way, it works much well with the customer. Did I answer your question? Was it Hemant who asked for it, or Narasimha?
Frame. Yeah. I'm clear with you, sir. Yeah.
So the way we articulate, that's going to be one separate session on how we are going to build that solution. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Next very important thing is transition, right? Most of the projects we have to do transition, right? Either a particular vendor would be already delivering a service and customer wants to move to a new vendor, or the customer is in the definition phase and you want to transition that definition phase so that you guys can take over and deliver the services. In one of the very key thing is, how do I present my transition models? Transition itself is a very huge subject. And the major key consideration for a transition model is it should not have any impact to the BAU, business as usual, and leverage existing and artifacts and deliverables. We should have the right skilled SMEs and mitigate incumbent resistance. Incumbent resistance is very common in terms of a transition RFP, right? And then a transparent transition governance model. So these are some of the key things that we will be touching upon in one of the topics, that is the transition model, right? So this is one of the session that I will be having. So here, when I say I'm going to build a roadmap of how I will achieve things for you guys, I will first, give them confidence on how do I build my transition models. Okay. So this is also one of the course contents that we will be having, and we will be deep diving into this transition model. Then other very key thing is, how do I present my case studies, right? So is the customer, people will put a lot of big PPTs, but messaging will not be right? So how do the template that we will be showing in this course will actually tell you about the customer, what was his pain points, what was the aspirational goals that the customer wanted to achieve, and this pain points and aspirational should be in alignment to the objective of the customer. Okay. Then benefits, primarily I will tell what is the cost benefit that the customer was able to realize, what was the time and the quality benefits that the customer was able to realize. Because when you go and sit in an RFP defense, your time is very limited, and your stakeholders will primarily be interested in what were the pain points and aspiration points that you helped a particular customer with, right? So this is one more topic that we'll be talking about in the presentation, where we will talk about how you should present your customer case studies. Okay, and there's always plan A and plan B, because usually the presentations go a little unplanned, and sometimes the duration might get shortened as well, right? So I'll give you templates how you can manage that particular case study. What are your key highlights? What are your messaging points? What is your solution, and how did you what are the things that you should put in each of the tenants, in each of the boxes. So if you have this case study itself much presented well, then the customer confidence will come more when he's looking at your proposal solution. Okay, so this is one more topic that we'll be touching upon in the sessions. Okay, so primarily the objective would be for us to really understand what is the RFP, how do I prepare for the RFP response, how do I design my RFP response, and prepare for my defense presentation. So this is the whole objective and the course outline that we will be delivering for the next 2 weeks. So if you do address all these things, I'm sure you will be able to confidently say that you will be able to win testing deals, right? So that's the reason why I put this picture of Dhoni, right? So as soon as you see this, you remember his World Cup winning 6, right? It still sticks to your mind. So the way we have designed this course is to have these concepts, frameworks, and the designs to help you to directly go face customers and start winning new projects. Okay, we will be touching upon most of the performance testing activities and how do we articulate it. And I will have a session where we talk about the estimation models, right? Across the performance testing lifecycle, you have different activities. You have to plan for your efforts and effort per cycle, your 9 hours working or onshore, offshore, working days, effort that needs to calculate, effort per annum, and what are your margins that you should consider for an effective bid. So this is also very key for us to win the RFPs. So we have separate sessions planned for the estimation models and margins. Okay. So when I talk about estimation models and margins, then we will also talk about what are my contract types and pricing models, because this is very key for winning the business, right? How do I put my contract? What will be my pricing models? Now, initially when the IT industries were there, it was mostly a resource augmentation and headcount billing, right? Then it went out to become a fixed price and a time and material concept. Now the current trends are, okay, we are building consumption based models, right, or outcome based pricing models. So these are new things that are evolved in the industry, and especially in the testing world, and especially after moving to the CI/CD and the DevOps model, many companies, many vendors have adopted to this pay as you go models. So we will touch on this time and material and the fixed price and all these pricing models as well in past part of the RFP solution. Okay, so almost given you an overview of what we are going to cover in this particular sessions. So what you can expect from me in this complete sessions is sharing my experience about 16 plus years. Okay, and we have won multiple multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts. Okay, we've given you templates, examples, and provide guidelines, and great learning experience is what we have designed this course for. Okay, since this is the first class, I just wanted to give you an overview of the complete course that we are going to what we are going to get out of this course. Okay. Any questions in any of the topics that we have covered so far?
Prem, I have one quick question. This is Rams.
Yeah.
So I already signed up the course. Is it going to be the same meeting, or will there be a different meeting? Someone will send me the details.
It will be the same meeting in the sense, you will get the updates in the WhatsApp with the link
Okay.
ID and everything. Yeah. So
Okay,
every day,
perfect.
I will try to open the session 15 minutes earlier. Okay. So the actual session is between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. But
Okay.
as you saw today, I will try to open it 15 minutes earlier so that we have any discussions or any clarifications, anything that we want to prepare for the following session, right?
Okay.
And then we will have 45 minutes to 50 minutes of session daily, and 10 minutes for Q&A and for you guys to come in, and then it happens, right? Any normal do's and don'ts.
Sounds
That's
good.
how.
And one thing is like I'm done. I joined from Texas. Okay, sometimes my Scrum call is supposed to be over by 9:30. That is where the session starts. In case if I'm delayed, right? So you are going to record the session. I can view it later, right? In case
Every day daily sessions are recorded and that will be circulated by Isha management team to everyone of you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So primarily what we expect from you is, no sleeping, strictly no snoring, because it's little late night in India, but I know other countries, it will be midday or early morning. Keep distractions away, and then, ask a lot of questions. These are some of the, it's more a dry subject, right? And it's more of theory and more of concepts and more of experience sharing that we will be doing, right? So primarily I would love to see if you can do your own research on the subject and come up with questions. I will also give some works, not very majorly. So if, for example, preparing a questionnaire, how do I prepare the questionnaire, right? To write the questions. If you will have any questionnaires or some experiences where you need clarifications, you can start asking that questions. That way, it will be more of an interactive and something that will help us win big business deals. Okay, something, you can learn many things from me. I will learn many things from you guys, right? I want it to be more interactive and, not one-way communication. So come up with your problem statements, feel free to ask questions. Don't worry whether it is right or wrong, ask the question. Okay. And I will try to maximum help you guys, because don't go out with doubts after the session. So that's the way I have planned the sessions. So post today's session, I will share this 2 sample PDFs, okay, which you can download. I will put it in the WhatsApp group as well. So that tomorrow we will touch on the RFP samples and another. We'll go through the RFPs and understand what are some of the aspirational objective goals that we will come to. Any questions so far?
Yeah. One question, Prem.
Please.
So, is there any particular qualification required to prepare any kind of RFPs, like only the program management team or only PMO only involved in these RFPs? Who are the main key persons?
There are no boundaries as such. I see. See, I'm a BE graduate, but I still am part of the bidding team in some of the companies, right? Okay. So what we are trying to do is, we know our technical capabilities, we know our activities, we understand our technical deliverables, but we are going to translate and tell it to the business team. How do I put it into an effort? How do I put it into a proposal? Right. So most of us will be part of the technical pre-sales team, right? When it comes to the sales and the higher management, they would be looking for an MBA or some kind of qualification. But qualification primarily is not a criteria for us to do this course. There is no boundary in terms of qualification. As long as you understand performance testing, you have delivered services, you are in the industry for the 5 to 10 years or more, you are into development software industry, this concepts can definitely be learned. There are no boundaries in terms of qualification.
Thanks, Prem. Yeah, fair enough.
And these concepts you can use in your regular day-to-day activities as well. Say suppose if you are going to buy a house, you will do the same thing only, right? You will first define what you want, then go in search of right builders, or you put it your ad and then you ask for proposals from builders, then you select your build your house or your construction site, right? So some of these concepts you can use there as well in your day-to-day activities. So though we are seeing everything aligned to IT and performance testing, so some of these frameworks and the articulation stuff, you can use it in your day-to-day life as well, in your new business, other businesses as well. So any other questions? Hope my English is good.
Yeah,
You're able
it's
to
good.
follow?
Yeah.
Very good,
Yeah,
Prem.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So feel free
And
to start.
one last question, Prem. Are we, I mean, as part of the preparing this RFPs, are we giving any kind of a discounts on pricing models, or is there anything such as well? I mean, as part of
Yeah.
the, client
Good
grabbing?
question. Good question. I will be touching upon when you're looking at this pricing models. Okay. So primarily when you look at discounts, it is more dependent on the kind of person or the kind of the buyer. Okay. For example, suppose suppose you are selling you're selling you're from which place?
Yeah, I'm from United Kingdom, UK.
You're from UK.
Yeah, London. Yeah.
London, yeah. So, so suppose you want to start an Hyderabadi, restaurant in UK, okay, and you have put 10 euros as a price for your bowl of biryani, okay.
Yeah.
I am coming to your shop. You will charge me 10 euros. Suppose Amitabh Bachchan comes, will you charge him anything? Or Sachin Tendulkar comes, or Dhoni comes, will you charge them?
No, I'll get for free.
Yeah, why you are
Because
giving it for free? Because they have a brand value. Okay.
Yeah.
And you take a picture of Dhoni and put it in your wall, and Dhoni fans will simply come and give even $15 you charge, they'll come and eat with you. Am I right?
yes, absolutely, it's a business technique.
Same concepts are available in the corporate world as well. Okay. Suppose if Boeing is going to float an RFP, just to hold that brand of Boeing, you will definitely work on some pricing models. Okay, so that is determined by the brand factor, that is determined by the quantum of work. Suppose Boeing wants to give you work for only 3 months, you will not be willing to negotiate and give it for free, right? But if the same work order you are getting for 5 years contract, right, then you will be willing to give more, so that his partnership you can leverage on to build new customers, right? So if you're working for Boeing, and similarly, other airlines like Indian Airlines or Emirates are buying flights from Boeing, they will be more willing to give project to you because you're already aligned with Boeing, right? So those kind of topics I will be touching upon when I'm discussing the pricing models, how the discounts are being worked out. What are the key considerations for giving the discounts? Did I answer the question?
Yes, certainly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is, even though this course is more structured for performance testing, but when I look at the topic cover, right, it seems like I can implement this idea in any of the software like QA services, right? It can be an automation testing, or it can be a security testing, or is it more specific?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm an expert in performance testing in my career, and
Okay.
I've been working on this bidding solution for performance testing. So started with performance testing, right? And definitely these frameworks can be reused across automation, across RPA, across functional testing, across web services testing, SAP testing, etc. Where it will vary is when it comes to your estimation model and your solution constraints, right? So primarily, you know, when I go to do my estimation perform in automation, I will not worry about script creation. I will be worried about my ROI in terms of coverage. How many test cases are there? How many test cases I am going to automate? Then comes my effort, right? Suppose if you are going to do SAP, right? Which module of SAP? What are the functional points of that module? What are the TR codes that you are going to use? Then that will be coming into your estimation model. Okay, but the way we structure and we tell to the customer is going to be in similar lines. You are going to read the RFP. You are going to understand what is you are going to do in the preparation phase. How we are going to address their aspiration objective. When it comes to other things, you will put it as SAP aspirations or your microservices aspiration, right? Then you will articulate their solution. You will do your estimation, engagement roadmap, operating model, etc. You will be aligned to that particular. So primarily, why we did for this performance testing is Isha as an organization, we are doing a lot of performance testing coaching, right? To be it NeoLoad, using Dynatrace, APM tools, etc. The focus is more on the performance testing area, and we wanted to build this course on a performance testing area. Definitely, we can reuse this across the board. I told you, even you can use this learning to buy a house, right?
Right. Makes sense.
Prem, I have a question here.
Yeah.
It's continuation to the last question. So for fixed bidding projects, so how we can give that bidding price?
See, fixed bidding, you will have margins, right? And you will have you will have to price in your resource cost and your contract timelines, right? So fixed price will be time dependent as well as an outcome dependent. Okay, for example, you give a fixed price for 6 months, okay, but the project is not getting delivered to you, or there are delays in them giving you a performance environment itself. Then there will be an we call it as overruns, right? Project timeline overruns. So your contract, though being valid for 6 months, you will have a clause where you will have an extended clause, and you will have to factor it into your estimates. Okay, and there will be a CR that you will raise so that you can address the new change in scope or new change in extension. Did I answer your question, or did I understand your question wrongly?
Yeah, it's correct. So CR, like change request, that's not part of this extended days, right?
Your extended days will be definitely part of CR because it's a new change, right? You cannot hold the resource for 7th month, right? When you have a contract for 5 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Simple, yeah. You're going to paint your house, okay? And either the painter has not finished the work, or you have underestimated it, or you put a delay, right? Then you will have to adjust it either within the bill that you have quoted or the quotation, or he will give you a new quotation. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah, there could be a multiple factors for the delay.
Exactly. So based on the factor, based on the impact of the factor, you will have to take a call on the CR.
Okay.
Yeah, those will be part of your master contract. So usually when two organizations come together for a service, right? Suppose British Airways is floating an RFP and it is selecting Accenture as the vendor, right? They will have an overarching contract where they will define all these things. All the if clauses, all the payment clauses, everything will be defined there. We don't have to go that in depth because there will be more of the management team to interface with
Yes.
Okay, all good. Any questions more?
No, thanks, great. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So tomorrow I will be opening the session with the different RFP models. Okay, proactive, reactive, we'll see a little bit in depth, and application development, migrations, service specific requests. So this I will be covering in tomorrow's session. Okay, come prepared. Feel free to ask questions. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow then.
Sure, Prem.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
Yes. Have a
Have a
nice
nice
day.
day.